Dear friends, we this Saturday evening must stop and understand something. We are winning. We are winning. We are winning. We are winning. As I sit with you, this is an original Make America Great Again MAGA hat 2015 2016. This is the original. This is what got things going. This was the counter action to what we're seeing right now. This was something which started kind of in sort of as I guess you might want to call it maybe a kind of an expression, an apothegm, an aphorism, a bromide, a chestnut, if you will, something kind of sort of, quaint. It's kind of quaint. It's nice, right? Right. It was interesting. Yeah. And then we have been through a progression that will take you forever to understand once it is over. I have to stop and just take a breath because I see and hear everything. I don't like crowds. I don't like loud restaurants. I hear everything. I hear all the conversations. I hear him, and sometimes it's difficult for me to focus on what's happening because I hear the guy next door, and I hear this one, and I have a hard time sometimes filtering people out. Later on, years ago, I was listening to one of the definitions of some kids on the spectrum, and sometimes when it was stimming, or if it was rocking, or perseveration, one of the reasons given was that people, or kids in particular, were hearing everything. And it was so overwhelming, they weren't able to sort of filter it. I'm not saying I'm there, but I understand exactly what they're saying. I see so much information and so much data in so many compartments. And when it's time to talk, I always feel like I didn't even come close to explaining it lucidly because it is so complicated and so overwhelming. It's a tsunami, it's an avalanche, it's an earthquake, it's a hurricane, it's a tornado, it's a cyclone, it's everything. It is a cacophony. It is an absolute blast of data and information. And I want you to understand. All right, my friends, let's get ready. First of all, make sure you are subscribed to Lionel Nation. Make sure you are subscribed, that you like this. Hit that like button. We like this button so much. And there's so much to say. But before we begin, my friends, let's start off with a word from our sponsor. You know, it turns out the key to losing weight and keeping it off is not in carbs or fat or even in probiotic-rich foods. No, the end game of having a healthy weight, as well as more energy and a long, healthy life, comes down to a specific switch you can flip in your body to flush out unnecessary calories. Dr. Stephen Gundry is calling this caloric bypass. And by activating this specific process in your body, he has seen thousands, yes, thousands of people dramatically improve their health, even at age 50 and beyond. This includes losing weight, getting more energy, and returning to the good health they had in their youth once they simply addressed this one key to better health. Not only that, this is actually associated with improved digestion, strong feeling joints and muscles, smoother skin, and healthier lives, meaning it could be the key to a happy life. Dr. Stephen Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using his research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone. His health is fantastic, and he feels younger and healthier today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/Lionel. It's linked at the bottom of this video, but he'll teach you exactly how he has kept his weight off for free at thehealthyfat.com/Lionel. Click on the link in the description below. Remember, thehealthyfat.com/Lionel. This year, we're going to be hearing more and more about FEMA and about reactions and not reactions. For the first time, we're going to be hearing so many people talking about, I got this thing from Costco that says, we're selling gold and we're selling platinum. That's good. We're selling food, we're selling water, we're selling all this stuff. People are recognizing that catastrophe planning and catastrophe performances and thought processes make a lot of sense. I want you to watch this carefully.
From fires to flooding, Santa Cruz County on California's Central Coast has been hit with 7 federally declared disasters since 2017. County officials say they've spent $250 million already on repairs, not including the 150 projects they've yet to even start.
The cash flow issue for our county has been severe.
Santa Cruz is just one of the communities across the country now expecting to wait longer for federal support because FEMA's disaster relief fund is running out of money.
Now to hear that FEMA is basically freezing any new expenditures is really devastating to our efforts to continue to recover.
So far, FEMA says it's had to pause at least 650 projects in order to maintain essential operations and prioritize funding for ongoing disaster needs.
Let me see if I can explain this to you. You don't matter to these people. You don't matter to these people. They don't care about you. You mean nothing to them. And I think you know that. And if anything, if there's one particular theme that this election is going to be about, it's going to be that. One of the critical things is that who cares about you? Who even thinks about you? Who thinks about you? And that's why, my friends, I've been telling you, and I have been hearing, and I know that our great friends at My Patriot Supply have been absolutely seeing record number inquiries, clicks, purchases, sales, people for it's been very popular. It's the number one emergency food source there is. But you have to understand something, which is very, very critical. Remember how many sheeple lost their minds, lost their ways, lost their touch during COVID? Remember that during the Rona? In fact, in California, they're bringing masks back. You see that? They're never going to let that go. They pick stores clean. Remember toilet paper? Gone. So what do you think they're going to do when real crises hit? What do you think they're going to do? What? When predictions from the elites like Bill Gates come true and America faces a disaster that makes the pandemic look like a walk in the park. Imagine it. Roads closed, train stops, ships sitting while cargo rots, shelves wiped clean, empty enough to look like a ghost town. Think that's impossible? It happened in America before. And you bet it's going to happen again. The question is, when the time comes, will you be ready? What will your family eat? Right now, there's a 3-month emergency food supply like nothing else. Over 2,000 calories a day for 90 days. 12 essential vitamins, amino acids, nutrition is the key. Whatever particular diet you want vegan, you want vegetarian, you want food, you want more sugar, whatever you want, you pick and you decide. It stores up for 25 years. It's ready whenever you need it. You can choose from 22 different food and drink varieties. No more of the same old blah. Sealed inside super heavy-duty 4-layer pouches and water-resistant buckets. This is it. Preparewithlionel.com. People right now are just saying, I understand. Where do I go? Preparewithlionel.com. Spend some time. Just look and see why the rest of the country says, we understand. Remember this, preparewithlionel.com. Today, my friends, I was going through so many of these, there's just so much stuff, so much to go through. Let us begin with this. And let me start off with the most important and credible thing there is. As you know, Tampon Tim is a combat veteran. He says he carried weapons of war. well, he says he carried death weapons. Well, you see, he wore them. Well, he didn't go to war, but well, he was a command sergeant major. Well, he was a master sergeant. Well, National Guard. Yeah, but he was deployed. Well, sort of to Italy. And then right before they went to Afghanistan, Iraq, boom, he decides, I'm going to run for Congress because Blood and Guts Timmy is busy. Look at this. Mr. L been hunting for 30 years, had rogue bear encounters. No heads in the wall. It's for substances. One twist of the ankle in the woods. Pat. Supwise. I have no idea what it means. Had rogue bear encounters. No heads on the wall. It's for substances. One twist of the ankle in the woods. Pat. Supwise. Okay. I don't know what that means, but I like the style. It's very Thelonious Monkey, and I appreciate that. Andrew Hessing, thank you so much, Andrew. George Keane says, could a president run without a vice president? No. I mean, no, Article 2. No, it says you shall. There's a lot of shalls in there. Remember, shall versus may. Remember that one? That's a big deal. But let's go back to this. Remember a while back, Tampon Tim said that he challenged J.D. Vance to a gun off, some kind of shooting or something like that. Old Bubba Wisdom, look at this. He says, that's it. That's all it takes, my friend. Thank you, brother. Remember when Tampon Tim said, oh, I'll show you how to, I'm a hunter and I'm a hunter, and by God, and he he carried weapons of death while in war. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what's making the internets today. This is what's on fire.
And it never fits quite right. Never fits quite right. Just not
it's a shotgun.
Right. How do you give it back?
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This was a Beretta A400.
Yeah.
I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap because it has a kind of their patented thing, a kickoff.
Yeah.
When you get old.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt your shoulder as much.
This is Blood and Guts. This is a guy who wanted to challenge J.D. Vance, a Marine.
Yes, that's my theory.
Look at this. Imagine it. The enemy's coming. This is a Beretta. By the way, Beretta is the finest shotgun perhaps in the world. Beretta is one of the few companies in the world that are over 200 years old, and these are the shotguns are tremendous. I had a Beretta 380 and loved it. But this is this Blood and Guts. Look.
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This was a Beretta A400.
How embarrassing. Is there anything these people know how to do without acting like a goddamn fool? Is it possible? He can't do anything. Ladies and gentlemen, Gene Crane says, I am in Monterey, California. The farmers are still waiting on checks from 5 years ago. Disaster relief funds were sent to the state, and the funds just disappeared. Hit the like button, please. Oh, dear Gene. Absolute. You're right about that. This is the thing. If you had a president that says, let me explain something to you. America first. I'm the president of the United States of America. And while we think everything is great in Israel and Gaza and Ukraine and Russia, the nice people, I worry about you first. Now compare Tampon Tim, okay, that they send out. And remember, I don't want you to pay too much attention to this, but there are 23 days until the actual physical election. Evan Webb says, I just ordered from Patriot. I'm getting all the emergency items I have together. It is very true. This is the time to get these supplies in order. Evan, absolutely. And it's like anything else. You buy a little bit of this checklist there. The things they have and the genius behind this is incredible. Thank you, dear friend. Andrew Hessing says, in other words, push Patriot, you will save lives. I can make fire and snow 99%. Can't. And I got the 4-week supply. Please, people, it's coming. Absolutely. Absolutely. And here is the best part about this. I don't have and you don't need to go out necessarily and use these skills. But when it comes to things like water purification, water filtration, gravity filters ready to go, the water's going to, the containers, survival items, solar power generators. Think about that one. You got a generator? That's terrific. No gas? No. Okay, fine. No power? Okay, fine. It's funny, power for a generator, but the point is off the grid biomass ovens. Something as simple as lighting matches, hurricane proof, hatchets, self-powered space heaters, EMP backups, electromagnetic pulse backups, emergency drinking. These pouches that kids put for their juice, it's just filled with water. Heirloom seeds, survival coffee. I mean, it just goes, you could pay over time. If you can't pay right now, there's financing, so to speak, and also disaster replacement. Let's say it's wiped out. Something happens. There's a fire or whatever. Everything you can think of, they've thought of. It's incredible. Now look at J.D. Vance. Ask yourself if something, God forbid, happened to President Trump. I could live with this gentleman.
Second World War, well, of course, we had the bravest people and we had the best troops, but we had the world's industrial might. No one could compete with America's manufacturing sector, and that's what we got to get back, or we're going to lose the next major war. That's what has to change. And
Let me also tell you what this president is doing, why he's so smart. I told you this before, and I'm going to tell you again. Trump can connect with people in ways that I never thought possible. He connects with people. He works with people. This is a guy who's this billionaire who was always wore the red tie and the gilded this and the gold and the planes, and everybody understands. He's like FDR, the true patrician. And Latinos, the number one, quote, minority group, whatever you want to call it, Latinos, that's the group. And what did they think about him?
House, we have 3 people working, 3 salaries, and having 2 jobs in order to support our economy in our house. And it's not just me, it's all the community, the Hispanic, that they are facing the same situation. What is frustrating is how Democrats who stands for Hispanic, that's what they say. We are here for Latino people. And I ask to everyone, what they have done to us? Nothing. They have done nothing. And that's one of the reasons why the Latino community now stand for you, Mr. Trump.
Yep, here we go.
That's what they are, supporting you, and they want you back. It's not time to regret, because many people, they vote for Democrats, as I did. But now, I'm standing here, and I'm standing for all others who wants to be part of your team, who wants to be part of this American dream. And believe me, they are waiting for you to hold your hand, and they have the faith that you are going to bring America again, as we are dreaming to have it.
One of the most eloquent speakers. By the way, notice in Spanish, Latino, they can't say S with a consonant. Stop sign is stop. Sleep is asleep. Stand by you. It's always an E before the S. No big deal. This is what we're talking about. This is it. And what is Kamala talking about today? She's released her health records. She's just, I don't understand it. You got numbnuts pretending to go hunting with he looks like Elmer Fudd. Now, the good news is too. The good news is that President Trump will be appearing with Joe Rogan, like Elon said. And there's something which I love about Joe Rogan, and I want people to understand. You know, you would understand this because you're part of the family. We always talk about the other folks, the psychopaths, the shadow government. We used to say the Illuminati. Remember this years ago? The Illuminati. We would refer to them, the Illuminati. And the idea that there were these groups of people that comprise these horrid folks who are the ones who kind of run the show, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? You know this. I can tell you this. I can tell you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Listen to the important message of how Joe Rogan is bringing back to the people the art and the necessity of reasonable and warranted suspicion.
And power, it's like the ultimate elixir.
It's also the people that you're around. Because like we were talking about, like we love being around comics. It's fun. It's our lifestyle. It's how we like to talk. They like being around other sociopaths. They like being around other people that are taking over businesses, hostile takeovers. They like to be around the guys who influence foreign governments, the guys who fly over in private jets and sit with their legs crossed with Italian shoes on. You know, and they have conversations about clean energy, and you know what they really want to do is control the food, control the farmlands.
See?
You know, we have to reduce the methane from the.
What was that? What was that? Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he's talking about? Listen to this.
You know, and they have conversations about clean energy, and you know what they really want to do is control the food, control the farmlands.
Hear that?
You know, we have to reduce the methane from these cows, and the best way to do it is just take the cows away from the farmers. If we just control the cows, if we have a climate change mandate and we control the farms, I mean, it's basically game over. They're literally doing that.
All bad guys have a British accent.
There's no reason why you would say we shouldn't have cows, unless you're a complete sociopath. You want people to get rid of cows? Are you sure this is a good strategy? Do you understand starvation? Do you understand how that works? You're not going to grow cows, are you? No, you need someone to grow cows, and you're going to take their cows away? Out of here.
Yeah, why would they want to get rid of cows?
Because they want you to be completely dependent on them. The more you're dependent on them, and the more they can tell you what's good and what's bad and what you shouldn't be doing. And Giannis, we looked at your carbon footprint. Your carbon footprint is very problematic.
Oh, not only carbon footprint, you're going to be doing, remember, they haven't gotten done with the social credit score yet. They haven't lost any interest in the central bank digital currency. You see, there's one thing that you must understand about our enemy. They're very patient. They're very patient. I hate to use this term, they are grooming us. Grooming us means to condition us, to make us prepare for this, to make us better able to handle things. Andrew says, we can ask Willie about her pap smear. Sore spell. We can ask Willie about her pap smear. Remember, Willie. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Willie Brown, pap. All right. I guess. I'm not sure. Isn't a lot of USA farms owned China? Yes. Owned by China? Yes. Do you remember this thing called, the term that we use all the time called gaslighting? Let me explain something to you. And let me see if I can go back, and I want to explain something a little bit different. Listen to Uncle Lenny. Little Lenny here. Uncle Lenny going to give you a little bit of history. I may have asked you this before, but there's a reason for this. Because this is an analogy, a metaphor, a simile of sorts. But let me ask you something. Why, when you get dizzy on a ride, you ever go like on a tilt-a-whirl or some kind of a weird ride, or you're doing these things and you're moving around, and you get dizzy and you throw up, Why do you throw up? Sparky says adults can get by without food or water for a while, and many even benefit from it. But think of your children. Children need food by the shovel. Full contact Patriot Supply. You're right about that. Kids also, remember there's something which is important. I don't want to go into autophagy and apoptosis. Okay. I'm not going to do that one, Sparky, but believe it or not, for adults, and that's preparewithlionel.com, but for adults, the idea of you now work with, I'm throwing 3 or 4 different analogies at the same time, so follow me. The idea of starvation and fasting is autophagy, but also apoptosis or apoptosis, depending upon where you're from. And it's the idea that stress makes you adapt positively. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do you know why they say that resveratrol is beneficial for you? And the idea, it is, but the idea is that they said you get it from grapes. Well, first they said it was wine. Then they said it was grapes. And the reason why it's from grapes, in particular, wine grapes, is because they turn dark colors. Why? Well, not that they turn, but as Darwinian mechanics would indicate, darker colored grapes handle and are robust and can weather the hot weather where grapes grow. They change their biochemistry. They change their their morphology but their genotype and the like, in order to adapt for stress. That adaptation is what makes it beneficial for us. But the stress caused the adaptation. One of the reasons why dark leafy greens are the best in terms of phytonutrients, the best, that tend to be a little bitter. Why are they dark and green? To take the sun, but also to ward off bugs. Bugs don't like them. And that benefits us. So stress actually benefits us. We eat too much. Not eating is something which is good. To a point. When dogs get sick, they go away. They go away also to die, but they go away. They don't eat. And the reason why you don't eat is not because you don't feel good, but it actually causes bad. Okay, fine. That's that. That's Sparky's thing. Let me go back to my original question. Why do you think when you get dizzy, you throw up? Why don't you defecate all over yourself? Become incontinent. Why don't you become incontinent and urinate, micturate? Why don't you laugh? Why do you start sneezing? Why do you throw up? Why do you vomit when you're dizzy? Now, the question is this, and I want you to understand something. The question, I didn't say water. Adults need water. Oh, yes. Water. Yes. Water is a very good thing indeed. No, I'm with you on that one. I understand. But answer the question. Here's the question. Obviously, when your inner ear, your cochlea and your little inner ear is spinning around and the semicircular canals of little cilia move, and I get cilia and cilia, when they move, indicating movement, that's what triggers it. That's not what I'm talking about. That's the mechanism for detecting motion. Why do you get sick when you're dizzy? Why? Doesn't make any sense, right? You could sneeze. Again, you can go through I'm not going to go through the whole defecation thing. And the reason it believes it is that your body recognizes there's something wrong. We know we're not moving. Our feet are telling us we're not moving. The appropriate sensors and placement and our parietal lobes are all kicking in saying, you're not moving. You're right here. Yeah, but we feel like we're moving, but you're not moving. Aha. What does the body do? The body says, you've ingested a neurotoxin. You've ingested a poison. That's why you're doing it. It's like when a dog purges. You ever have a dog eat grass? Sometimes when they don't feel it, they want to become a medic. They want, okay. So, and the reason why is that when the body says, wait a minute, we're getting two inconsistent things here. Locus of control. We don't like not to be in control. They used to say years ago, why do whales beach themselves? Could it be because they have an inner ear thing and they lose their breath? Yeah, maybe. Or could it be that they feel like they're older and they've lost control and they beach themselves, and the pilot whales, the younger whales follow them because they don't know any better? When I was a kid and I told you we used to have sometimes fruit rats because you had orange trees and they gets cold and the rats want to come inside. So the man came, and whenever anybody came to our house, my mother would say, go talk to him. And I would talk to the electrician. I'd talk to the plumber. I would talk to the pest control guy. He would talk, and they always enjoyed it because I always say, what do you do this? Why do you do this? And why are rats different than this? And blah, blah, blah. And he put out a glue trap. I said, is there something in the glue trap that kills them? Dr. Dream Killer says Lionel gets his medical knowledge right again. Neurotoxin and motion sickness, hand in glove. Indeed. Well, listen to this one. They ask the question, why do these glue traps, do they kill the rats? Is there poison in them? No. Well, how do they die? Howie Brown says, first ever 3-day fast day, 2.5 days into fast, I felt like a miracle mentally and physically. I know. It's mind-boggling. You're not going to hurt. You should always check with your doctor. Fasting is also, there is so much to this. Don't do a lot of working out that day if you don't mind, but drinking water and breaking the fast is important too. It's as old as day. Okay, back to this. So the question is, why do the rats die? Here's what this guy told me one time. He says, you don't understand something. You see, the little rats, little mice, whatever, they just squeal and they try to get out of it. They just keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. They don't know any better. But the older ones, they lose their sense of control. Locus, L-O-C-U-S, the place of control, is lost, displaced, and they realize, I am unable to control my destiny. I am not going to live. I can't control what I'm doing. I have no control over this moment. I am powerless. I am freaking out. I will die rather than endure this. I will die. I can't handle this. It's one of the reasons why rape and robbery, whatever, is so horrible. Not the act itself, but you have no control. Okay, remember that. Put that over there. Okay? Input and output, confused, no control. What's going on here? Okay. Next, I want to do you remember, ladies and gentlemen, the famous Milgram experiment? The Milgram, it was wonderful. Sabertron Toy says, Mr. L, Mrs. L, 2024, make radio great again. Doog show Lionel, yes. By the way, that's a Sparkyism, Doog. Sparky was lamenting over the fact that for some one particular reason, there was a YouTube algorithm that would not allow him to place the word good in here. Okay, moving right along. Now, what I would love to do in the part of the gaslighting thing is I would love you always to not be sure what input is really there. For example, I would have a magic show where you can see them do the trick and everybody claps but you. Going back to the Milgram experiment, 1960, the Eichmann trial, in Israel. They grabbed him, Adolf Eichmann, the master engineer of the final solution. He's put on trial, and people said, how can people do this? How can somebody? He had a family. He wasn't a monster. Milgram set up the famous Milgram experiment at Yale University. Dr. Dreamkiller says loss of internal locus of control, if severe enough, is a 90% predictor of suicide among humans. Yes. And also remember, indeed, there's something about this. Self-harm is the most, not inhuman, it doesn't make any sense, the most atypical natural reaction. Dr. Dreamkiller, the number of people in death camps, concentration camps, death row, people who were told, you're never leaving. They could have committed self-harm, and they didn't. Why? Because of the will and the fight and the instinct to persevere. When you lose that, okay, so Milgram brought these people in. He put some ad out, be a part of an experiment. And I think Milgram himself, he wore a white lab coat, and they sent these people in. Please go, Malgram. You can see him on YouTube. You got to see this. He brought people in, and they said, we're going to have people ask a question. You can't see them. They're in the other room. When they get the answer wrong, you're going to give them a shock, an electric shock. And every successive answer that they miss, you increase the amperage, or I guess it's the amperage versus the volts resistance. Anyway, the amperage, you make the shock more painful as they answer more incorrectly, incrementally more painful. Now, the reality was that nobody was hooked up. There was somebody back there, but the person doing the experiment didn't know this. He heard somebody say, hey, ow, hey. So anyway, number one, I'm sorry, that answer is correct. Ow. And somebody would say, what was that? Please continue. Yeah, but please continue. Okay, it's kind of like, it's for science. Question number two, number four. No, that's wrong. Move it up. Ow! Stop it! Guy looks at Milgram and says, hey, look, I don't know. Please continue. Please continue. Okay. Some people did it to such an extent that there were people who stopped responding altogether, indicating theoretically the mental imagery of this person, perhaps just forever, just out of their minds, out of their tree, out of their, I don't know what the word is, out of the unconscious, excuse me, with no noise. Okay, number 8. And people were saying, Jesus. And the people who did it, who apparently withstood the natural human reaction to stop inflicting pain on a complete stranger, they didn't look. It could have been the housewife. But if they said, like, well, if I'm following orders, or if it's for science, okay, keep that in mind too. You got where we're going there? Guy throwing up, Milgram. By the way, 10 years later was the Stanford prison experiment, where they took students and they went, this one really was bad. They had students who walked in during 1970, and it was Stanford University, and they went into this basement of the psychology department, and they divided up into prisoners and guards. And the guards all of a sudden turned into Nazis, including one guy who had glasses. I mean, it was amazing. Okay. I want mass hysteria. I love communal, collective, mass population experimentation, because I want to be the psychologist general. Okay. Next thing I want to do, I want to teach learned helplessness. This is the greatest. This is where you just give up. This is, they take the little dog, the pet, the mouse, the whatever the hell it is, and he learns right away, oh, when the green light does this, I hit the bar and I get the pellet of food. If I wait, I get the electric shock. Nelson A says, 2 more weeks for Uncle Lenny in the cutting room. Can't wait. That's right. October the 26th. 2 weeks. Thank you, Nelson. 2 weeks from today at the cutting room. Ticket information is on the description portion of the video. Thank you, sir, for that. Okay. Learned helplessness. The dog, whatever, learns the routine. Oh, I get it. Green light, push the button, get the pellet of food. Don't push the button, get the electric shock. Okay. Next thing, they say, let's change it. Why? Start shocking the dog. Even if he gets it right, it doesn't matter. All of a sudden, oh, green light, hit the bar, get the pellet. And the dog says, whoa, hey, hold it. I'm, of course, anticipating what the dog is thinking. Dogs can't talk, but I think the dog is saying, did you make a mistake just now? I clearly did this the right way. Let me proceed. Green light, push the bar, get Now, wait a minute. And then maybe the green light. Oh, that works this time, but doesn't work this. Wait a minute, hold on, wait, what? What's going on here? Pretty soon, the dog, the animal, the whatever it was, would just give up and just get shocked. It lost the will to resist. It lost its locus of control. Remember when they would take an elephant at a zoo, they put the chain around its hoof or fetlock, whatever the hell you call the foot, the paw, the whatever it is of the elephant, and you would nail it into a stump, and the thing would say, oh, Jesus, look at this. Then they didn't even need to attach it to a stump or some type of a brat or some type of a concoction, some type of a something affixed to the ground. They just put this on the paw, on the hoof, on the foot, and it just stood there. You didn't have to do anything. It says, oh, I'm going to stay here. There's no resisting. So my experiment would always be, I would love to have somebody go to a magic show where it's like Carl Ballantine. Remember that amazing Ballantine? Where people are looking and they say, I see what he's doing. It's a magic. And people are saying, can you believe this? This is fantastic. And you're saying, what the hell's the matter with you people? And pretty soon you say, okay. Whatever, which of course is why Taylor Swift and Carol Channing and a lot of other people just said, okay. You've just been through 4 years of insanity. What did these people used to say before they got the message from the shadow government to change their message? See if these people ring a bell. See if they seem kind of familiar to you, even though what they're saying is completely and totally antipodal to and antithetical and opposite to what they're saying now.
We should have strong border security.
What?
It doesn't make sense for us to allow hundreds of thousands of people coming through our borders without us knowing who they are.
Wait a minute.
Oftentimes in very hazardous situations and unmonitored situations that could do us long-term damage. I think we should have a serious employer verification system where
who's this?
Employers, when they hire somebody,
looks like Obama,
find out what their
like
work status is. Are they able to work here legally? Right now, what employers will say is, well, we check their Social Security card. That's the best we can do. So we've got to set up a tamper-proof system.
Wait a minute.
And then hold employers accountable.
I'm from Tampa.
This, for some, is the most controversial part, that we've got to have a pathway to citizenship for the 12 million people or so who are already here. You pay a fine, you learn English, you stay out of trouble, you've got a job.
Who is this?
You go to the back of the line so that those who came here legally, that backlog is cleared before you have opportunities for citizenship. That is a reasonable approach, and one that will ultimately address the biggest problem for American workers, and that is the depressive effect of undocumented workers who aren't right now subject to oftentimes minimum wage laws or worker safety laws or all the other things that make them cheaper for employers.
What happened
if they're
to
out
this
of the
guy?
shadows, then we can make sure those laws are enforced and those cost advantages for hiring undocumented workers go away.
Doesn't that blow? Who was that masked man? Starman says, check out Immaculate Constellation. It's a top secret U.S. government program. Just leaked, 5 days old and blowing minds. UAP disclosure. Well, look at that. Thank you for that. Kelly McKinnon says, unbelievable. Indeed. Remember was it the Johns Hopkins, the COVID run through? Do you know how many of these drills have, listen to this. I'm going to read something to you. Do you remember this? Did you know hang on a minute. Did you know just a second. Let me see. I want you to read this. Hang on. Okay, this is one for you. I want you to remember. Let me see here. Is this the one? Just a second. I know this. I'm so sorry that you got to go through this because I just saw it right now. And I want you to hear. Okay, just a second. Almost there. Almost there. Hang on. Okay. Here we go. I can't do them all. I'm going to give you one of, I think, about 40, yes, 46. Let me try this again. There were 46 drills that occurred on the 11th day of the 9th month, 2001, including, these were war games, Global Guardian, Vigilant Warrior, 46. Disaster drills, emergency drills, hijack drills, exactly on the day of that thing. 46, and you can name them. You think that's of any interest? I think there will be. Not if you listen to the American government. They remember how a lot of these, I remember during COVID, it was almost to, was it Johns Hopkins? And that's Johns Hopkins. When I hear John Hopkins, I go berserk. There's something about this that makes me go berserk because I tend to go a little berserk. Okay, here we go. See if you, and this is also something. See if you recognize this guy and listen to what he said.
Senator Biden, do you believe that, as Anho suggested, we're talking about jobs that Americans won't do? That's often used as a conversation point in this debate over immigration.
Let's get straight. America.
First of all, you see, this was in 2007, okay? This was 17 years ago. This man is completely almost unrecognizable. And he says some things which make a lot of sense. Listen to him.
Will do any job if you pay them properly. You know, the fact of the matter is that doesn't mean we don't need guest workers. We do. That doesn't mean we don't need, but we should base the number of guest workers that are in the statute that we're trying to pass, and we tried to pass before comprehensive immigration reform, based upon need, not on an absolute number. And we should require employers to offer those jobs to citizens to see if they want those jobs. Case in point, you had Swift Meats down in North Carolina. INS came in, 800 people took off. The fact of the matter is they had to go out and hire people. Guess what? They had to double the wage and provide health insurance. They got all the North Carolinians they want to come and slit pigs' throats, which no one wants to do. They did it. And so that doesn't mean there's not room. We need agricultural workers. We need H-1B visas. We need what, in fact, exists as a need, not as an artificial number to allow employers to drive down wages.
Well, earlier in this panel, it was suggested that hiring illegal immigrants to do these jobs doesn't drive down wages. So I'm interested to hear this anecdotal evidence.
It drives down wages. I think it drove down wages at Swift Meats. What happened? When 800 out of 2,800 people left, they had to go out and say, okay, now we'll pay $10.50 an hour instead of $6 an hour, or whatever the number was. And we're going to give health insurance. And guess what? North Carolinians showed up for the jobs.
Now you see what's happening. Remember, they told you this and it made sense. And then all of a sudden they changed. They changed. They went, eh. And it's like Milgram saying, go ahead, continue. Please continue. But you wait. But this may... Look what happened to Joe later on after they said, we're going to bust you and your son and your brother and your family. We're going to let you know what you did with your daughter in the shower. We're going to do this. What happened the day that your wife left and during that tragic event, how you really hooked up with Jill, all that stuff's coming out. If you don't change your tune. And Joe Biden said, I'll change it. And the new tune sounded something like this.
Mr. Vice President, under the Trump administration, asylum has virtually ended. ICE detention centers are practically empty. Your new plan calls for reversing President Trump's harsh plan. But won't that restart a brand new border crisis? I mean, what would you do with all those people in camps now waiting in Mexico?
It will if we don't do it well. We don't reach out to the communities that are willing to, the charitable communities to.
See, it was starting now. The I don't want to say dementia, it's not dementia, but whatever the diminution of mental alacrity, it started right about here.
Come in and help, and in addition to us spending millions of dollars providing for access for judges, access for asylum folks to be on the border, to move quickly. Because if we just say, okay, all done, I've withdrawn the order, you're going to have a crisis on the other side of the border as well.
So what? The other side of the border means another country. Now, I want you to hear what happens. You've just been the victim of, or you've just been provided. This is cognitive dissonance. This is learned helplessness, whatever it is. This is two completely different theories now advanced from the same people. This is okay. Now it's not okay. Up is down, down is up, left is right. You don't know what the hell to do. We know what to do. We know what to do. Evan Webb says, someone asked, what happened to Ayn Rand? I have a few Democratic friends who are as woke as one could be, but they handle their money as Ayn Rand would. Also, what do you think of Ayn Rand's philosophy? Dear friend, I hate to say this, but I think Ayn Rand is so full of shit. It's not even funny. Ayn Rand is nice. It inspires discussion. It has absolutely no bearing on my life. It has the idea that somehow objectivism that I don't have, or man should not have any sense of any type of beneficence and philanthropy and charity towards other people. I disagree. I do not. First, you must understand something. Philosophy to me is the biggest waste of time. It sounds interesting. Philosophy might be a way of, this lover of knowledge or okay. It's interesting. Nietzsche says something. Schopenhauer says something. Kant says something. Okay. And I love listening to there's a wonderful channel on YouTube. And it reminds me of like an Oxford Don or something. This fellow talks like this. Today we have and it's a wonderful, it's nice. But I have rather than philosophies are okay, but I like maybe practical applications and hypotheses as far as certain things go. This is very simple. This is very, 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 very simple. One of them is our friend, Dr. Dreamkiller. I like in many respects, there's a medical model. And the medical model works like this. First, never go to a doctor for any kind of preventative anything. The doctor will say, is there anything wrong with you? Is there anything wrong with you that's coming? Do we deal with something that's wrong with you? Great with pathologies, not good with, I'm doing great. How do I maintain it? Hey, doc, should I continue that fasting? What? Is fasting good for you? Yeah. What's the matter, doc? Trying to find out on this insurance pad, what do I put for fasting advice? I'm not going to get reimbursed for this. I just prescribed kale. So it's not their fault. I'm not saying it's their fault. But the next thing is that when a physician is dealing with something, let's make it very easy. Let's say St. Luke's Roosevelt, whatever it is, there's the emergency room, somebody comes in, and you and I are going to be sitting back, let's say Dr. Stephen are standing there, and this person is massive MI, middle of some kind of massive heart attack, some heart incident, rather than calling for the crash card in code blue, whatever the hell it's called. Dream Killer and I get into this discussion of, do you believe that maybe perhaps the onset of this might have been because of lifestyle, or perhaps maybe a genetic predisposition? I wonder if he smoked. Wonderful. The application of philosophies while people are dying. Firemen discussing the philosophy of fire. Hey, did you see Backdraft? I sure did. It wasn't very effective. See, meanwhile, the house is on fire. These are wonderful ideas. Talk about the philosophy, the science of fire. Oh, Jordan Peterson. I think these people are so emblematic about how bereft people are of friends and family and religion, that they look to these clowns as some kind of I don't know what. They don't do anything for me. I'm atonal when it comes to people discussing. Sam Harris discussing God. Sam Harris, talk about ASMR. I'm just out to. We can. The only thing. My idea. I'm more of a, rather than a philosopher, I think of myself as a battlefield commander or somebody in an ER unit. I'm looking at, how do we fix this now? I don't have time for this. Yeah, we can get to some other things. Yeah, we can work on try to address the education system. Yeah, we can affect maybe the way perhaps families get together, the role of religion. Maybe we might want to perhaps stop idealizing sexual. No, we have a problem right now. I'm looking at what's happening. And the issue is, and as Dr. Steve was saying, sometimes there are some pretty brutal responses to this. Amputation. Amputation is required. This leg is necrotic. It's gangrenous. If we don't lop this baby off, he's going to die. Yeah, but you're cutting off a leg. Yes. You're going to lose the patient. We have to do this. I don't understand any of that. Now, the next level, I have this wonderful book I ordered. I haven't ordered a book because normally I just read them online. It's called The Book of Conspiracies. And I love this. Again, it's a wrong term. And the only thing I think about a philosophy is if it makes some sense. And the first thing I do is, and let me ask you this question. Let's assume you are elected president. And your very first day in office, you take to calling in your assistant and you ask him, I want you to answer a question for me. Sure, what is it? I want you to tell me everything you know about UFOs, UAVs, RVs, SUVs, EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities, Roswell, Rendlesham Forest, Phoenix Lights, Get 5 Symington, the Tic Tac. I want to know everything. What do we know about this? What do you think it would say? I don't have anything. Or, Mr. President, you don't have proper clearance for that. Top secret. You have top secret, but there are people levels above you who have a higher clearance. I'm the president. I don't care if you're president or not. Normally they say these 5 numbers, these 5 lettered Umbra, Zebra, Ultra. Those are like Zebra was this one. You had to be Zebra. I said, oh my God, Zebra. Nobody was a zebra. Think the president knows anything? No. You think Trump knows anything? Not really. You think if he says, hey, I want to be able to know this thing, well, good luck. This isn't for you. Okay. So we're today I was watching, it was so interesting. I was just listening to some wonderfully fascinating. You were talking about how do I say this? But you were talking about a conspiracy, not conspiracy theories, but top secret things. And then I was listening to on my iPad, and the rotation was Fox Morning Show. That is like listening, put it this way. It's like going into a symposium on some medical symposium on, I don't know what, nanotechnology and thoracic surgery. And then Fox News is like bloodletting and leeches, the role of garlic in warding off, wolfbane. They don't get it. So we have these super, ultra, super duper folks. A friend of mine sent me a great cartoon about harp, about a baby playing in a play pen with harp antennas. They wouldn't know what this was. So you get that extreme, and then you've got Pete Hog's Breath and some guy named Lawrence in an East McKeesport diner asking some guy with teeth missing what he thinks about the election. There's 2 extremes. So we can talk about this. The philosophy part of it is for my own particular private edification. But I don't know, as far as these things go, if it even makes any sense, it makes any difference. This is a very, very simple thing. But I will tell you this much. The question I have is, there are very few people that really don't know what they're doing who run for president. We have never had somebody tell me, where did Kamala come from and why'd you pick her? Where do you think that came from? I'm being dead serious. I'm not kidding around. Where did she come from? Where did she come from? Where? Anybody? Any idea where she came from? Why her? Why Tampon Timmy? Why? No, I'm serious. And if you answer this within earlier than at least 2.5 minutes, you're not giving it. Don't respond to it. Answers should not be reflexive or patellar or Pavlovian, think about this. They want to know. I would not be surprised And hypothesis that works be somebody saying, we wanted to show both the Democrats, in particular this time, that they can't trust anybody. We love chaos. We flipped a coin. They were going to get it. We really don't have any say over Republicans. The real question is, I don't want to get to now, what's going to happen after Trump? I feel very good about J.D. Vance. I feel very good about Tulsi Gabbard. But they have to work with me. We have to sit down. And we're going to go through mind control. We're going to go through hypnosis. Not them, the crowd. We're going to go through the use of myth, allegory, perception, image. I'm going to teach you professional wrestling basics. Everything from kayfabe to bringing heat to the angle. I want you to learn that. I want you to understand the role of theater. We're going to do better stagecraft. Your productions, don't expect to do what Trump did, because only Trump can do this. But I want to work on this. Trump forever spoiled people. Whoever has to be the next president, J.D. Vance can't do it yet, but that's okay. He'll do fine. That's coming up next. Right now with, as I said, 23 days, Tampon Timmy is out duck hunting and can't work his shotgun. How do you think that works? How do you think that works? How are there so many things? These are the questions I want to ask. I would love to sit down with Kamala, and of course, nobody would ever know this, but I want to ask you a question. During the course of this, and you have been with the administration for 3.5 years, okay? You were a senator a while back. Did you ever have briefing books? Did you ever have somebody come in and coach you? Did you ever do this? Did you ever coach somebody? I promise you, when I was at WABC, it was my first year there, O.J. Simpson came along. So I walked in. Actually, my first day there was John Wayne Bobbitt. Remember that Lorena Bobbitt? That was I was boring. So what happened was I was doing OJ, the case. And I would have to watch during the day and then come back the next morning and report. It was so interesting. There was no internet, no nothing. And you could watch on TV, but this was a radio. So there I was, first thing, morning drive. And I came out and I knew everything from the prior day that I had learned. Did it. When I spoke it, I really became very familiar with the facts of the case. Then new facts that layered on the old facts. Within no time, I was an expert, meaning I knew more than everybody else. Didn't know everything, but I knew more than they did. Because I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I knew facts of the case. I knew everybody's name, knew all the testimony, I knew all the evidence, I knew all this stuff. I used to go out and then do stand-up based on the OJ trial, and that also cemented. After a week, I was an expert. This woman had 3.5 years and hasn't mastered anything. How? How did that happen? Do you have a learning defect? Did anybody ever bring this up to you? Did anybody ask you about this? How did you not know anything? How did you? And who picked him? You don't tell me you picked this goofy, this Wilford Brimley without the mustache. And when Jim Gaffigan does you, I would rather vote for Jim Gaffigan portraying Tampon Timmy than Tampon Timmy. This is how bad it was. So the question that I have is very simply this: how did you do this? And I'll never know the answer to that. Why did this happen? Don't be surprised if high above our collective pay grade, at the upper echelons of the shadow government, somebody decide we're going to destroy this. We're going to just do this, and they will follow. And then nobody, including Obama, Michelle, nobody, Biden, nobody's going to say, excuse me, we're not going to be a part of this. Oh, yes, you will. Okay. And they left the entire Democratic Party now saying, What has happened? I have friends that's so sad. And they're talking about Trump, and I said, you do know that it's over, right? I mean, they threw everything at him, nothing sticks anymore. We've habituated to all of it. How is it that that's happened? So think about that one, dear friends. It's absolutely incredible. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? Look at Edie Crowley. Bless your heart. Hit that like button for Mr. L. Edie, you are the best, dear heart. You are the greatest. Let me also thank to you, wonderful, wonderful folks. Evan Webb, Kelly McKinnon, Starman Narman. Thank you, Nelson A. Clone Steve Dream Cleaver. I like Dream Cleaver. Dream Killer. Gary Wright. Dream Killer. I don't believe them in the night. Spooky Tooth. Remember that? Sabertron Toys, thank you. Howie Brown, you've got a lovely daughter. Sparky. Andrew Hessing, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see. Jean Crane. Sounds like a great soap opera actress. Jean Crane. Wasn't Jean Crane the mother of the fellow from LA Law? In any event. Old Buddha of Wisdom, thank you. George Keene. And thank you all. Let me remind you, dear and gracious friends, follow Lynn's Warriors. Remember that. Lynn's Warriors. And please, preparewithlionel.com. Now is the time. Go to preparewithlionel.com. The best deal ever. A 3-month, 90-day, 2,000 calories a day for 90 days. You get $508 in free extras for a limited time. Plus, just look and see what they have. Preparewithlionel.com. All right, dear friends. All righty. Don't forget, follow Lionel Nation, Lionel Legal, and Lynn's Warriors. Lynn's Warriors, you got to see this. She's got one coming up. She's got an interview. You should see her and Nancy Grace go at it. They had to pull them apart. It got ugly. I'm serious. My wife took it. Nancy Grace was running out of the room, said, enough. It was brutal. It was wonderful, though. Great action. 2 feisty spirits. But there's only one Mrs. L. Period. All right, dear friends. Have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so very, very much. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m. And until then, my friends, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. That.